So before we move on to this 20th anniversary Raw rundown, we have our own little anniversary that we want to celebrate here at the British Fist. And that is the fact that we've been on YouTube now for 2 years. This has kind of really crept up on us lately. I didn't really even think about it until this weekend.
And that's the thing with us now being on 2 years. Yes, we're not making a big deal like we did last year, but this is a time where it has came for the second year around, and we're just here to say thank you very much, YouTubers.
Yeah, because without you, we wouldn't have been doing this for 2 years. If we were stuck on 100 subscribers, we probably wouldn't be doing this anymore. And let's face it, NJ, having 2,300 subscribers really does give us a reason and a motivation to carry on doing videos, because I think, to be honest with you, if we didn't have that amount of subscribers, I don't know if I'd still be doing these videos right now with the wrestling business being like it is.
Well, with me personally, the fact that YouTube is something that gives me something to do, enjoy, I think even if we did not have so many subscribers and the rest of it's been the way it is, I think I would have kept on going because it's a great way to interact with more and more people. So I say thank you very much for everyone who's subscribing above. Like this video down below. It's not above anymore.
No, it's not.
Everything's down below.
Things have changed since we first came in. The subscribe button is now down below. They've changed the YouTube format. They've changed Facebook format, and yeah, a lot of other things have changed in the wrestling business as well. We also have one thing we would like to announce, something that's going to come up at some point soon. We're going to be doing a What's Up compilation. Now, what we're going to be doing is, as part of our opening video segment for one of our pay-per-views, either going to be Elimination Chamber or WrestleMania, we want you guys to send us in your versions of What's Up. NJ, I'd like you to just explain this to the people, because this was your idea.
Because with the thrill of this idea, there's many YouTubers and maybe people who make videos. I was just cut the idea of how about we all interact in a way, we'll plug your channel in the description box, and just a way to interact and do something special, especially for our 2-year anniversary and plus a pay-per-view.
So basically what we want to do is we want you guys to send in like a 5 or 10 second clip of you just going, "What's up?" And you did it, I was going to do it. And send it to our email address. It's dannyparkin02@googlemail.com. Send it as an attachment, and we'll do the rest with the editing and stuff, and we'll also, like Andrew said, plug your channel, put your channel name in the video, etc. So this should be a pretty interesting venture and a nice way to interact with YouTubers too.
I think it's a good way to get your channels out there, interacting with us, and just something special for the build of Mania or Mania itself.
Anyway, much like WWE should be doing right now, let's stop focusing on the past and start focusing on the present and the future by doing this Raw 20th anniversary rundown.
And before we kick off this rundown, I just want to say, with it being the 20th anniversary for Raw, I really wanted to watch and hope for the best for the WWE. And oh boy, was I disappointed.
So basically what NJ is trying to say is that he watched it live because he was hoping that WWE were going to give him something good. I, however, took the easy way out, and I went to bed, and I watched the highlights the next day, and boy was I surprised when NJ rang me up the next day saying that Raw was sucky. So I think going back and watching the highlights the next day was definitely the best move for watching these 3-hour Raws right now. But anyway, going into this Raw, the main theme of it was going to be the 20th anniversary. And many people felt that the show didn't really feel like a big show. There wasn't really too many names there. It didn't really feel like a big landmark show. And I can understand why people would say that. I guess the argument really here is, do they really want to bring in all these names to overshadow the current roster and stuff? Just give me your quick thoughts on, it being a big landmark show and what you kind of expected from the show and what you didn't.
Going into a 20th anniversary, something special like this, yes, it worked like a Raw 1000, but it was still a special show. So all I was expecting was, like, when we had the names who we're going to get to later, I was expecting maybe some of them to have had more in-ring segments, more involvement than being, let's say, just there for the sake of special names being on the show.
Indeed, and it did seem like a kind of average Raw, but with some names put in here. And I can see the positives of that. You're kind of trying to focus more on the future, and you're trying to give us some of your current roster some rubs, rather than giving loads of TV time to ex-legends that aren't really going to do that much for the company long term, like on Raw 1000, for example. But you really did think that WWE would try and make this feel like a big show, and like you really didn't think it was.
No, yes, they did the special guests in it, and they also did these packages showing the past
and the intro
build up and the intro. The intro was the best thing that got into it. The highlights of the past was good, but that was just that maybe in Vince's eyes gave us the special of this Raw. But overall, by the end, I just thought that just felt like a Raw with some spots here and there.
So the first real topic, I guess, for you guys out there to comment on is, how did you feel about this show, you know, being a 20th anniversary show? Did you really feel this was going to be a big show? Was you disappointed with the way the show felt, kind of like an average 3-hour Raw? Right now, the first or second or third member of business is for us to have a look at some of the in-ring action and the booking. Oh boy. So the first match of the night was Wade Barrett versus Randy Orton, a match which we, over the last year or so, have seen so many times, and generally only one man wins these matches. But this time, Wade Barrett got a clean victory over Randy! Celebrate good times, come on, your fun bell, let's celebrate. Wade Barrett got a clean victory over Randy freaking Orton. This is amazing!
And with this is a good thing, because being the IC champion, being a world heavyweight champion kind of wrestler, this was very, very good. It's a shame it's not a main event feud, but oh my gosh, it's very surprising, yes.
There's your phone.
Thank you very much.
Let's carry on with the rest of the... As much as we can have a really feel-good moment that Wade Barrett actually got a clean win over Randy Orton here.
Let's just hope he doesn't turn around and Orton gets the upper hand over Barrett later on.
Oh, you don't think Orton's doing the job here in order to maybe get a big win on SmackDown?
No, I do not think that all. No.
Way too positive. We had 2 matches to hype up the Tag Team Championship. Kane defeated Damian Sandow and Daniel Bryan defeated Cody Rhodes. Both very quick matches. I don't know, why don't they just do like 3 or 4 of those backstage segments with Dr. Shelby and just not have matches? Would have just made it so much better.
I look at this and yes, it looks like Team Rose Goddard are going to go for the tag titles in probably the Rumble or later on. And plus, the first thing I saw was Damon Sandow chokeslam 1, 2, 3, finished. I'm like, how are we going to believe, and plus short match like Mr. Parkin said, how are we meant to believe that Team Rose Goddard are going to be a threat or big challengers for the tag titles?
Well, what happened to Daniel Bryan's knee injury? Obviously, the knee injury isn't hindering him that much. Caitlyn versus Eve. This was interesting because we got the news that Eve was going to be leaving, so we kind of knew Caitlyn was going to win here. But Caitlyn gets the Divas Championship. They have been building to this for quite a long time. Thought they were going to do this at the Rumble, but Eve obviously didn't want to do that. So they had Caitlyn win in her home state, which is probably the next best thing they could have done.
The comedy segment before was Eve tried to go up to Booker and go, ooh, please don't make me do this, you know. And Booker's like,
hot.
Don't tell me you did that.
He doesn't fall for flirtatious advances, does Booker T.
That really did. Like, that was good. The match, okay, we knew what was coming. The way they built up with Eve was doing everything she could to stop Caitlyn getting it, but Caitlyn did the tricky way, got the win. Caitlyn's the champion, but it's not going to be long before she decides to leave.
Maybe so, but at least a nice moment for Caitlyn. They're eventually going to have to put the title on her at some point, so why not in her home state of Texas? Yeah, because that was what the Mick Foley was getting the cheap pots for tonight. Punk versus Brodus Clay. Punk gets the victory here. Pretty simple. Brodus Clay got little reaction, probably because he hasn't been on TV that much. This all stemmed from the promo last week where I believe Punk was putting over Brodus, but they found a way for them to face off on TV. Probably said to CM Punk, well, we'll see if you can get this guy over then, if you think he's so good.
That's the thing, because in the introduction, many people on Twitter were saying Brodus Clay got a good reaction, maybe because they were ready for him to come in and face Punk, I don't know. But this match went down the simple way, the Anaconda Vice and stuff. Yes, I didn't really expect Brodus Clay to tap out. I thought there'd be a fight out of it, but again, Brodus Clay slipping down more and more.
It was really more about the promo segment afterwards than the match, which we'll go on to in the next segment. Sheamus versus 3MB in an over-the-top battle royal. Wow. 3MB actually managed to beat Sheamus. Now, I said on my SmackDown review this on my channel this past Saturday that what's the point in these two even feuding? I mean, I know it's filler going to the Rumble, but now you've had 3MB beat Sheamus, and then Sheamus just comes into the ring anyway and ends the segment on top. You're like, okay.
I did predict this going into this show. Sorry, that was it was going to be the face on top. And yes, we've got this match being the second match where the faces have actually done the job to.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah. Sheamus and Orton both did the job.
Pretty good.
Cena didn't.
No, we'll get to that later. But I just thought this was a pretty stupid match. Yes, the 3MB had to work together to eliminate Sheamus, but I really didn't care.
Hey, at least it had something to do with the Rumble. It was an over-the-top Battle Royal thing.
Yeah.
I guess that's the one positive we can see from this. John Cena versus Dolph Ziggler in a cage match. Yeah, you know, this just... I actually went back and watched this match, and this just stunk to me of same old Cena booking. You have Ziggler, despite loads of interference, despite hitting all his maneuvers on John Cena still wins. And, you know, you look at it, and Sheamus did the job, Orton did the job. Why couldn't have Cena have done the job to Ziggler on free TV and put him over in this way? Because it's just another TV match where Cena goes over Dolph, and it's just making him look stupid, especially with the World Heavyweight Championship Money in the Bank briefcase. And he's going to be World Heavyweight Championship soon. Imagine what a match of Win could have done here other than what they did.
The whole thing about this is that the match, yes, people in the comments each below are going to say that this was a good match.
Which we've seen
very
many times.
Good from Ziggler. Yes, it could have been a good match. But the ending, especially if they're going to continue this feud, is the important part. And the fact that Ziggler had more than one chance, especially with all the different kind of spots he had to beat Cena, especially with Langston with the chair, grabbing his foot, pushing Cena back in, AJ climbing up, there's all that, he still couldn't beat Cena. And plus the ending, it's like Ziggler could have just dived down and won the match, but no, it was all about Cena, and I don't see what this is really adding up to apart from making Cena look good, even though Ziggler's not really helping him for the Rumble/Mania.
Okay, two things before we end this. Number one, how quickly was Cena's comeback? Wow, that was really quick. And second of all, Cena's going to be in the main event of WrestleMania, so they're going to make him win. I mean, I don't like it, but I guess that's just the truth. So now it's time for us to look at the rest of the show, i.e. the promo segments, which involved some character enhancement and also some storyline advancement. So now to the bits that I actually watched. I actually watched and went back and watched all the promo segments on this show. A lot of them involved like the big names like Vince, Foley. You had Ric Flair in there. You had The Rock. So a lot of these promo segments I felt had some kind of purpose to actually watch. And with it being the 20th anniversary, I was really thinking WWE might actually do something with these promos. They opened the show with Vince McMahon. He had no entrance, which was kind of strange, but he basically came out to tout his creation and give himself an ego boost because apparently 4 billion viewers have watched Raw, and it's just been pure entertainment as well over those 20 years.
The thing is, with Vince McMahon coming out, he is the one to speak. He is still the chair until someone takes over, and the thing about this is that...
Don't get your hopes up.
Yes. With Vince McMahon... He said what was needed, but it's just, as he was saying it, getting the crowd warmed up, someone had to come out, which I'm like, what did he have to come out for?
This was there to further along the World Heavyweight Championship. This is what I mean about guys not overshadowing the current feud. You know, Vince McMahon said what he needed to say, and in the whole segment, he stepped aside and was pretty much there to highlight the Del Rio and Big Show feud. You have Big Show coming out complaining about his title loss on SmackDown, to muchos heat, by the way. Del Rio comes out as a babyface now. The crowd were very into Del Rio, probably because it's in Texas, which they do have a lot of Latino and Hispanic people there, I believe. And basically get the announcement that Big Show versus Del Rio is going to be on the Rumble. So, yeah.
The thing I want to say about this is that I don't really agree. It's a Raw opening. Yes, you're opening with Vince, but then out comes Big Show. I really don't care too much about Big Show. He comes out, and the first thing I noticed during his speech and promo stuff was that he was like, no, I'm not facing him. I should have lost that. I should not have been in that match when I lost my championship. You're a 7-foot giant. You should not be scared or worried about what kind of match you're in, who you're facing. So that was ridiculous. But he did lift it back up by saying, I want the match to be at a bigger stage at the Rumble. So at least he picked it back up.
You think that they had Del Rio in the opening segment because Vince really wanted to try and put over this like new big baby face that he wants to create? Because that's why I feel this is on the opener of the show.
Worth a try, but the standout of this was Ricardo Rodriguez, who splashed confetti on Big Show. Very PG because of the paper cuts, Big Show could have got. But good Ricardo. Well done, Ricardo. Del Rio, no.
Speaking of Del Rio as a face, I guess I'll have to grow. It'll have to grow into me a little bit, but that sounded a bit stupid. But Team Hell No on their 4-month checkup. This was This was kind of funny, wasn't it? You had Sandow and Rhodes making fun of Dr. Shelby, and he goes mental at them. So this was brilliant. I just don't know why they didn't do more of this instead of the matches, which is kind of just pointless.
It would have been a good thing, but the thing I want to say about this, for the first time in a long time, following this whole Team Hell No backstage segments, this one definitely stood out as funny, comedy, and actually maybe something special between Kane and Daniel Bryan. Shelby cracking, maybe that's put an end to the whole him being the Doctor involved in this, but oh my gosh, very nicely done. I enjoyed this.
A little something special between Kane and Daniel Bryan, much like there's a little something special between me and you, NJ, in the creation of the British Fist and the fact we've been going for 2 damn years now. So, yeah, this is pretty entertaining, and all I've got to say is, yes! 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 There we go, you knocked yourself out. Foley's Hall of Fame announcement. Why didn't they just have Foley have his own segment? He only had about 10 seconds to talk. This is the headliner of the Hall of Fame, and he only got about 10 seconds to cheap pop, and that was it.
That's the thing I was going to say, because with your first Hall of Famer, with the first person who should have been it maybe years ago, or at least one of the face of Foley, he comes in the ring, gets ready, gets the cheap pop with the crowd like he always does, and then all of a sudden you hear this music that whatever it goes, and out comes the Shield, they all come down, and I'm like, is that all you're going to give to Foley?
A couple of things here, though. I didn't like the fact that Foley only got about 10 seconds, but it was another example of a segment where the legend wasn't the focus, and they tried to focus it on the current roster and the feud. You had Ryback, Orton, and Sheamus coming out to make the save, but you would think that as part of the Hall of Fame, which is an important thing for WWE, that Foley would get his own segment to talk, have him talk for maybe 5 minutes, and then you can do all this rather than just 10 seconds and cut him off straight away. It's kind of stupid.
That's what I was going to say. Yes, maybe don't overshadow your current roster, but with it being the Hall of Fame, Mick Foley's been making numerous appearances over the past few months, but this was a special one. First inductee, Hall of Fame. Yes, it got the Shield a lot of heat to interrupt that big segment, but I still think it was a pretty bad idea, and especially another segment where the faces actually did find a way of coming out on top.
In Houston, Texas! Master of the cheap pops, Mick Foley. So yeah, the faces come out on top here.
But before we move on, there was another Mick Foley segment which I do want to compliment. It was backstage with The Rock!
Rock and Sock Connection. What a great,
very funny indeed.
What a great tag team they were. Almost as great as the British Fist.
Not as good. But the thing about them is that they work well together, you do expect.
British Fist.
And then out comes Vicky, and yes, the funny thing is, Mick Foley said, you just let Vicky walk away, and then Rock hypes up his segment at the end.
Do you know who Vicky Guerrero reminded me of in that segment, just coming in, interrupting? Terminator NJ. Seems like WWE have their own little version of Terminator NJ.
Bit of an insult there, but yes.
Vicky Guerrero. Oh, speaking of insulting, we're going to get to that later when it comes to Vicky Guerrero. After Punk's match, he had a promo. NJ, I want you to answer. These following things: fact or fiction?
Not very good at answering questions, but here we go.
He made a 400-pound monster tap out.
Fact.
He holds the most important title.
Fact.
It belongs to him.
Fact.
For 421 days.
Fact.
The Rock is entertaining.
Fact.
CM Punk is the best in the world.
Fact.
And that is your opinion. This is quite interesting. It's like you talk about facts, and I like it when people talk about facts. You can't argue with facts. And then he goes, well, if you think The Rock is entertaining, that is your opinion. It was pretty short and to the point.
And of all the people who speaks about the facts, I think CM Punk, with his character, definitely is the one to do it.
Yeah, and I think the word fact could be very prevalent here in the YWC. I think you guys know what I mean. The Miz TV segment with Ric Flair. Speaking of a 20th anniversary theme, we had Miz talking about all the previous, talk segments, and then you had that little video package of all the voices and stuff like that. The interaction between Miz and Flair here was really good, in my opinion. It almost seemed like Flair had a couple too many backstage. It was really entertaining. I liked it.
Flair did look a bit out of it, but the fact that he was working alongside the Miz, Mike Talker, very good indeed. Very good segment for Raw.
Yeah, and not only was it entertaining, but also they used it as a plot device to further along a Miz and Cesaro feud. You had Cesaro coming out with his anti-American gimmick that they're now trying to repackage him with. Thank fuck for that. And you had this segment where, you know, Ric Flair chops Antonio Cesaro. So again, another segment where you're using a legend to further along a feud and also give a rub to Miz, as he allowed Miz to do the figure four. Not just anyone in the business can do a figure four. Just saying.
Pretty creative there. The only problem is, yes, this was one of the specialities of the 20th anniversary. They used Ric Flair, but I was hoping for Ric Flair maybe to announce a little bit more. Yes, there was a few jokes about your 4 wives and all this stuff, very comedy-wise, but I was hoping for maybe a bit more from Ric Flair, because this is Ric Flair's second appearance, and he's doing something for Cesaro and Miz, but I was hoping for maybe announcing something just so there's more involvement in Ric Flair if he's going to come back again.
A Miz and Cesaro feud could be very good, and there's only one word that could really sum up the dynamic of this feud.
Awesome!
Woo! 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 Awesome!
Yes.
Yeah, those just ended like that. Then we had the main event. No surprise that the Rock concert got the main event here.
Another concert, yes.
Yeah, another Rock concert that we've seen this sort of last year. They only sung one song, and that was making fun of Vicky Guerrero. You know, be a star, WWE. Don't make fun of people like Vicky Guerrero. You know, don't make fun. I mean, I'm just saying.
They're going to continue this on and on just because they feel that Vicky Guerrero is the best one to aim your insults at when you've got John Cena for many reasons why you can insult him.
It was funny, though.
Very true. But at least with this, The Rock did bring creativity out of it. But the only thing I'm going to insult The Rock about, when he was singing this song, they wanted the crowd to join in. How are the crowd meant to know what to say, when to join in? So don't be like, come on, crowd.
I mean, it's hardly like people know this song. It's hardly like a So Sally Can Wait or a Wonderwall by Oasis or anything, isn't it? But yeah, I mean, of course, The Rock is always entertaining, but like we've seen this before. Didn't really feel like anything special. He only sung one song. And then we get to the end of the show.
Here we go.
It was quite interesting, really. You had CM Punk come out, and then they end up brawling, don't they? I mean, that was... Let's face it, the one thing John Cena versus Rock didn't have last year was brawling. And I think, to be honest, they needed to do this with CM Punk and Rock, because they can go out there and cut promos on each other, make fun of each other, but now this feud feels personal, because they ended up having a freaking brawl. The brawl wasn't, like, fantastic, or it wasn't, like, the best way to end the show or anything, but it was a nice, simple, effective way to show that they freaking hate each other.
They're using the brawl now, and they've still got another week before the pay-per-view, but this brawl was quite short, to the point of just fighting against each other. Was it needed? I think, yes, to do something different than the whole John Cena constantly feudy thing. So for that, I give it compliments, but again, I just didn't feel that this was the best thing here, but the brawl was needed.
Especially to end the 20th anniversary of Raw. Now we've talked about all the main bits, unless you have anything else you want to say. We're going to be moving on now to, well, the end. So make sure you give us your thoughts on this Raw 20th anniversary edition, and also make sure you get your WhatsApp clips sent to us at DannyParkin02@googlemail.com. It will be in the description box below. That should be something fun for you guys to do. We're hoping to get as many as we can. NJ?
I kind of wish I never watched this Raw, because to be honest, as much as I want to try and get myself in the swing of watching Raw again, this really didn't give me the buzz of watching again. But please, please tell me if you like the show, do like the show, the good points, the bad points, in the comments below.
And I did actually enjoy watching some of the segments, but not enough to make me go back and watch Raw. I think the show felt a little bit like okay, just because I went back and watched all the good stuff rather than all the terrible stuff like you put yourself through. But,
sadly, but all I'll say is that WWE spark things up, WrestleMania's coming, and from Mr. Parkin and me, NJ, thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.